Hey everyone, Dave here with another episode of the Philly Tech Connect podcast. Today I am speaking with Don Samoil. Don is a experienced serial entrepreneur. He's been through the dot-com bust and boom, or I guess I should say boom and bust. He is the current chapter leader of the Philly location for the Founders Institute, which is, well, I'll let him describe it best, but yeah, I think of it as an accelerator for startups, although there's obviously some nuances that make it differentiated from some of the others. So he's going to be talking today about FI, about his background, and all things startups. Don, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You have a varied history. We were talking before this call about first generation, if I'm not mistaken, Romanian immigrant parents, been through startups in some very interesting times.com, boom and bust. Tell us a little bit about just your background in startups.
Thanks. Yeah, I try to, explain to people. A lot of people have obvious reasons, concerns, fears, am I suited for entrepreneurship or, am I going to make it? It's like, look, I mean, the odds are tough, right? I mean, 80% of startups do not return anything measurable to their investors, right? So that being said, there's again, as you pointed out, my parents, as I was telling you, got off the boat with $25 of net worth they were allowed to bring with, and broken English, and raised two kids, and within a dozen years were living a middle class lifestyle. So you work hard, you apply yourself. There is no end to the opportunity. Don't let anybody tell you, the odds are stacked against you. Ignore it. Obviously, BB, don't order your Rolls Royce just yet, but don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. And so I was blessed. I got involved with the dot coms, had a lot of fun, made a lot of money on paper, and like kids with Bitcoin, NFTs, whatever, I thought, oh, this is going to go on forever. I didn't sell. I lost most of my paper riches. I was in New York, and the tech crunch and 9/11 and so on, and it sucked. But you pick yourself up and you keep working and you get involved with more, even if you're an entrepreneur, more startups, and you fail and you start again and you fail again, and hopefully you succeed here and there and you learn. And that's basically been my path. A lot of mistakes, and a handful of successes that I'm very grateful for. Then a few years ago encountered Founder Institute. Um, just by happenstance, a friend had been telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm involved in 6 different startups right now. I don't have time for whatever that is. Then when I got involved with this company, I was like, how are you so much smarter than most of the founders that I've worked with? And she laughed and she said, my story. I came from Nigeria, a few years back, and didn't even speak English. So it's not that I had some knowledge or network or expertise, but I had a drive, and I started my venture, and I found Founder Institute, and they beat the crap out of me. It was hellish. They only graduated a small percentage. I think she was one of 1,400 applicants to the Silicon Valley chapter, and she was one of 27 graduates. So, but when she came out, she was, as I said, ready for Shark Tank. You know your numbers, you've got your customer identified, you understand the competition, you're ready to go. No guarantees, but again, this is a woman that, again, I'm very pleased to have been an advisor to her company, still an advisor, and this is a company that's going to go places because she got, aside from all of her innate abilities and her drive, she got the help that she needed, and that's what inspired me to start the local chapter. Is because I wanted other people not to have to make the same mistakes I did 100 times over, right? If you can learn from somebody else's mistakes, get some coaching, get some guidance, um, we can, accelerate this path. You don't have to have years of failures. Maybe you have a few months of failures and then you hit. So that's what inspired me to get involved. And that's, I'm a big believer. Again, I think Founder Institute is a terrific organization. If it's not for you, if it's something else, someone else, find a mentor, find a resource, go online. But educate yourself. There's tremendous resources available, right? In the .com days, there was no internet. I couldn't go and Google. There was no Google. I couldn't Google how to be an entrepreneur. I read books, and those were very useful, right? Some of the old classics, Dale Carnegie and so on. Read them, read the classics, read the new ones. Just, sorry, you can stop me anytime.
Yeah, it's my pleasure just to allow people to the space to kind of go where the conversation takes them and to share their knowledge. But it's super interesting. You have obviously through Founders Institute, which I want to get more into, encountered a lot of startups by means of the programs. Some make it, some don't. When you think about the 80-20, the 20% that do make it, what are, in your opinion, some of the differentiators that make them stand out?
It's a great question. You know, More than anything, is drive and perseverance. You know, and again, I've been guilty of it more than a few times myself. Most entrepreneurs started out by saying, "I've got the idea," right? That's it. That's golden. Let's stop and think about who are the big successes out there. And did they initiate any idea? Was Google the first? Hell no, right? In fact, again, I was just telling somebody the other day, like, don't think anybody else has any great. They could be the world's best VC and so on. They've still passed on thousands of great opportunities. If you had said Google to most people back in the day, like, no, Yahoo owns search. What are you talking about? MySpace owns social networking. What the hell is this Facebook thing? Um, you know, hey, just a couple of years ago, if you'd said, Nvidia would be one of the largest, companies in the world, like there's Intel, there's AMD. I mean, they're a little niche player making, some video chips. So it's not the idea. Obviously, you want a good idea, right? If you're trying to sell, again, sorry to potentially be offensive, but I'm not hearing you. I don't know if you.
No, go for it.
Uh,
I'm not kidding.
okay.
Comes next.
I would say, like, I tell people, look, if you want to try to sell poop on a stick, you probably going to have challenges, right? So you do want to have a good idea, but that's not what's going to, you could have the greatest idea if you just sit there and drink. So don't sit around and watch Shark Tank and say, I could do that. Fine, watch it, be inspired. In fact, I'm an investor and advisor and a guy who went on Shark Tank, and didn't get an investment, but I believed in him, and I think he's going to do very well. But he got off his butt and he did something, and he got himself on Shark Tank. So watch, learn, whatever, get inspired, but that's it's doing, it's perseverance. It's just making the mistakes, learning from them, reaching out, asking, tweaking, trying, talk to customers, right? Don't just say, I've got a great idea, this product should sell. Well, lots of look, those that may are old enough to remember New Coke, right? Coca-Cola was the #1 beverage, and they decided they needed to change their formula. And all the marketing gurus said, this is it. We're going to tweak our formula. And it was a multi-million, maybe billion, I don't know, dollar, disaster. And they had to change their formula back. So, talk to your potential customers. Don't think you know everything. Ask the customer, do you like what I'm producing? If I made X, would you buy? How would you? So not just would you buy, because hey mom, if I made such and such, would you buy it? It's like, yeah, mom's gonna say yes, grandma's gonna say yes. Your friends are gonna say, yeah, absolutely, it's a great idea. Go out, test market, say, okay, would you be interested? Yes. Okay, how would you use it? If it came in different flavors or colors or whatever, which ones would you want? And you dig a little deeper, all of a sudden, would you want the poop on a stick? Sure, absolutely. Okay. But would you want it in different flavors? Maybe I wouldn't want it so much. So
No, I mean, it makes sense. I love that all the things that you mentioned are really more, they're innate qualities or things that we have potential control over: our own drive, our perseverance, our ability to execute, the ability to do customer discovery. Those are all things that, we are capable of if we want to. It sounds like there's table stakes for an idea, has to kind of be good enough for sure. But what I've heard is from some of the other, well-known accelerators out there is that they are investing less maybe in ideas and more in people, because so many people are pivoting anyway. It's almost, what's really the point? Is that, how your guys' approach at FI? And tell us just a little bit more about Founders Institute and the way you guys approach selecting companies to join the program.
definitely the old saying about bet on the jockey, not on the horse, is true. Much more important, in fact. So one of the things that I encourage anybody, again, I'm biased, but go to fi.co, take the entrepreneur DNA test. I found it fun and interesting. It was kind of a little bit of a Mensa test combined with some other stuff. So I thought it was fun. And it gives you some insights. They've been doing this for, I mean, FI is about 15 years old. The DNA test is probably about a decade old or something. So they've got good data. It is an indicator of where your strengths and weaknesses may lie in terms of your entrepreneurial approach. So yeah, I would say, take it. But even if it says, you have, some weaknesses, okay, either work on the weaknesses or find co-founders, find resources, right? Find ways to everybody has weaknesses, everybody has issues and challenges. You've got to find a way around it. Under, over, around, that's again perseverance and just working at it, and so FI hopefully will help you understand. If look, some of the questions are pretty obvious to me, but maybe not to everyone. So if you answered yes, I want to clock in at 9 and clock out at 5. I want to know what my paycheck is going to be every week and so on. I do not like risk. I do. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. If you love doing X and that involves working for someone else, doing something else, or just again working, being, I don't know, again, a singer, a dancer, or whatever, right? You theoretically you could call yourself an entrepreneur, but you if you are your own product, then great. I mean, again, some of the right, we see some of the media stars that have become billionaires by diversifying, so on. Good for them, right? They took, but generally what we look for is something scalable. So if your dream is to open a coffee shop and just run that coffee shop, that restaurant, that lemonade stand, whatever it is, fantastic. Happy to talk to you, give you my advice or whatever, but you're not coming to Founders because you're not scalable. If you want to create a chain of lemonade stands all across the country, let's talk, right? Now this is something that we can help you with. We can help you learn, is lemonade, the right product? How do I differentiate my lemonade from everyone else? How do I deal with, all the regulatory issues and so on, right? If you have one lemonade stand, maybe you'll be able to, skirt the rules. But if you want to open a chain, guess what? They're going to be wanting to understand your ingredients and are you, keeping all your products, clean and safe and so on and so forth. So there's a lot more to being an entrepreneur than just, selling, Girl Scout cookies or whatever, which is a great place to start, right? I really encourage parents, or if you're young and you think, nowadays I want to create an app, right? That's what you hear out of a lot of young. Oh, I'll create an app that does XYZ. Great, go do it. Try, learn, because there's really nothing bad about trying it and figuring out that for whatever reason you don't like it or it doesn't work, or that's great knowledge to acquire. So
Yeah, it's a big, it's a big step, and it's the one that I think, people really, you need to take, which is to kind of, you got to give something a shot. I had a conversation with sort of someone who was called an aspiring entrepreneur the other day, and they had kind of come up with all these reasons why XYZ was going to fail, it wasn't going to work out, or why the conversations weren't going to go anywhere. And it was a lot of barriers, kind of mental barriers to, hey, this is why I shouldn't take action today, and why I should kind of have some more exploratory conversations, but ultimately not really take that step. And it sounds like that is the hurdle that we need to get over to kind of be in that 20% of the ones that make it out. Don, thanks so much for your insights today. For people that want to learn more about FI, yourself, the journey you guys are on, where can they get in touch?
So fi.co is Founders Do, globally. So wherever you are, you will get geolocated to, the chapter that's closest to you. So we have founderkeystone.com. That is our chapter for Pennsylvania and New Jersey, Delaware, etc. So if you send me a note at don@founderkeystone.com, I'd be happy to talk to any entrepreneurs. Yeah, and again, it's a great program. You can come in, drop out within a few weeks, fully refunded. We shred all the papers. So give it a shot, check it out, learn from it. That's I would say don't hold back. Just give it a shot, and by all means reach out. Happy to talk to any potential entrepreneurs.
And is there a an upcoming maybe deadline or cohort, and just kind of how often do programs appear?
So thank you. We have a cohort starting at the end of March. So if you are looking to join our program, please hurry. Again, love to, we do webinars and in-person events in the, Philly area. We've got, Philly and Princeton and now Pittsburgh. So we're doing events locally and online. And we do cohorts. They're 13, 14-week programs, typically twice a year. So we have one in March, and we'll have one probably starting around Labor Day. But by all means, reach out, and always happy to talk to entrepreneurs, outside of our program, um, give you some guidance, point you in the right direction. If we're not the right place, that's fine, right? I want you to get some help, because it's a tough journey, but it's worth it.
Awesome. Well, this episode will be out next week, so hopefully it will be available for people to get in on that March cohort if it suits them. Thanks again so much, Don, for talking with us today.
Hey, my pleasure. And I encourage people to check out PTE. Lots of great content. They should join the Slack. Lots of great conversations. I've met some really great people, and you've got some great programming. So they should certainly check you out. And I'm sure you have URLs and whatnot around the podcast.
Absolutely. PhillyTechEntrepreneurs.com. Thanks so much, Don.
My pleasure.